All right, you ready?
Yeah. I thought.
You thought. Now you're gonna clam up.
Don't call me a clam. Okay, so last episode we had a bet running. If you haven't seen it, me and Ralph got into an argument about which TV show is better, Midnight Mass or Castle Rock season 1.
Right.
Right, but you still haven't watched it.
It doesn't matter.
Insane.
It doesn't matter.
It's definitely better than Black Mass.
No, it's not.
You don't know because you haven't seen it. I don't know because I haven't seen yours.
It's impossible.
No, it's
fucking
not
impossible.
Castle Rock is. Let's place a fucking bet.
Let's place a bet on it.
Let's place a fucking bet.
No,
right
you can't place a bet.
Right?
I was voting for Midnight Mass.
Yes, and Castle Rock was my show that I was fighting to the death for. So we're now here to discuss which is the better show.
I don't know how we're gonna win this, but we're
gonna figure it out together. And you know what? We might not come to a conclusion. That's
true.
A possibility. So you were wondering aloud, how could we possibly decide if whose show is better? Like, obviously both of us are very passionate about our own respective shows. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be interesting if we wrote down criteria for what makes a show good in our eyes.
I think TV shows need to be consistent, good from beginning to end. They can't have some shit episode. Oh yeah, it's a great series except for the end. I hate it when people say that.
Sucks.
I'm like, no, then I don't want to watch it. Why do I want to watch something only for them to ruin it in the last episode? No, it has to be consistent. You can have favorite episodes, but typically it has to be good or decent from beginning to end. It can't be. It can't completely shit the bed in the last season, particularly last season. If there's a whole season that sucks, fuck that. I also hate when there's just crazy loose ends. Mm-hmm. Like there's a whole plot point, but if there's like a whole character or an unresolved plot that was integral to the story, and they just no, we don't need to cover that. I hate that. Can't have that. The third one, but this one's kind of cheating because it kind of is like it has to make good use of the episodic format. It has to make sense as a TV show. Yes. Like it can't this would have been better if it was just a long movie.
I fully agree, and I don't think that that's cheating.
Okay.
If it's like you could have put this in an email. Why do we have a whole meeting about it?
Have a whole conversation about it.
Yeah.
And I like with TV shows. There's certain things that are in TV shows. Cliffhanger endings.
Love them.
I love those. Whole episodes where it shifts narrative, where it's like, oh, suddenly we're just going to follow this character. I love that. That's something you can really only do on a TV show.
So my criteria, a little bit more vague, I think, than yours. But my number one criteria, and I underlined it 3 times, is that you have to hook me from episode 1. Like, at least enough that I need a central mystery or something that I want to know or need to know. Like, it needs to drive me to want to watch it.
From episode 1. So usually big opener.
Preferably episode 1, but I'll give it 2 episodes.
I hate it when people are like, gotta just hang in there till season 3 or episode 4. Episode 4 really picks up, dude. Like, no, I hate that. I don't want to do that.
It's called a pilot for a reason, to get you on air. And if it's not interesting, why for some shows, did so many people give it that amount of episodes?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And if the payoff is good, sure, whatever. But for me personally, when I start watching a show that has not been recommended to me, I need to be hooked by the end of episode 1 or the beginning of episode 2. I want to know. I want there to be intrigue. I want it to I want it to prove to me why I should come back. Okay, I'm very passionate about this.
I got it.
Don't
Next
motion to me.
Move on.
You talk for a very long time.
I do, but I'm saying different things.
Things that you want to hear. You're an asshole. I quit. Anyway.
Anywho.
Good dialogue is another thing. Good writing in general. I think that says what it is. If you sound corny or out of place, it really takes me out of it. And I just...
Do you consider that like realistic dialogue? Like, do you have criteria for that? Or you don't care if it's realistic so much as it's good? Because some of the shows that we're going to talk about, they don't necessarily have realistic, but they have good dialogue.
Yeah, like if I think this also has to do with the actors. Mm-hmm. It's like if it's believable in the world we're living in, it doesn't matter what you're talking about as long as it seems like an organic conversation. Okay. Like, or whatever, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, because I apparently need to wrap it up. Cinematography and musical ambiance.
Yeah.
Really, visuals and music help.
Need to be good.
You can tell when it's a good show when they have that, I think. And you could tell the quality.
I agree.
And I also always love, in a show, a bit of humor. Be it dark humor or tongue-in-cheek or whatever. That'll always err on the side of a good show for me.
Okay. All right, so what do you want to talk about first?
I want to ask a hot button question.
Sure, what's that?
After having watched both shows now, do you still think that Midnight Mass is the better show?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you about this. Right. I really hated Castle Rock.
You hated it? That's really funny because I fucking hated Midnight Mass.
Oh my god. How did you hate it?
How did you hate Castle Rock? They knew this was gonna happen.
How could you hate Midnight Mass?
How could you hate? Hold on.
Yeah, but by your own fucking criteria.
By your own criteria. Nothing happened in Midnight Mass for the first 4 fucking episodes.
What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Oh my god.
Okay, wait. Let me say my piece.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay? If you want to talk about loose ends, what about the cats? Okay? What about that loose end?
That's not a loose end.
Okay.
The vampire was eating the cats.
Okay.
As soon as he comes in, all the cats died. Because he ate all of them. He ate all the stray cats. That was him that you saw in the very first episode.
Okay, we have to explain this in the minute. This can't be in this. Okay. So you know what? Things are getting too heated right now. We do not have a conclusion at the moment. Okay? If you haven't seen these shows, go and watch them now and come circle back and get in on this anger discussion.
So... How could you? So what are your problems with Midnight Mass? Okay. You're saying you don't like it, which is insanity to me. So anyway, what is it? So what is it where Midnight Mass started to lose you?
Okay. The beginning.
Yeah.
So Midnight Mass is okay. It didn't hook me from the first episode, which is a criteria of mine, and it didn't hook me from the second episode, and I was like, where is this going? Honestly, if we didn't have this bet and you didn't recommend it to me, I would have never continued watching it. I tried watching it before this bet, right. And I quit. Mm-hmm. And that being said, by the end of it, I did like it. Right. So whatever, but you yourself in your criteria said, oh, if it takes too long to get people hooked, or like if it drags or like whatever, I think that Midnight Mass could have been a movie. And that would have been fine.
I'm almost inclined to maybe agree with that. I don't agree. But I know what you're saying. It feels like a very long movie. So what is it about the first episode that you didn't like? Where did it start to lose you?
Should we read my notes?
Yeah, read your notes. Because Midnight Mass is a slow burn. It is
a really slow burn.
It is slow, but that being said, Midnight Mass, to me, and maybe I should have said this, is that it feels like a small town drama, and then it slowly becomes a horror movie.
But Castle Rock is also a small town drama / horror.
But it's boring and not
It's
realistic.
Not boring. Your show is more boring. 100%. But anyway, episode 1. First of all, I'm pissed off that you killed cats in episode 1, and that never paid off to me. They never explained that. You're assuming that the angel killed all the cats.
No. See, this is you not understanding that, not reading between the lines. So that first night, those kids go to smoke weed on that island, and they're complaining about all the cats. Yes. And then they say, whoa, Something really big just flew over my head like a heron or something. Then he sees creepy eyes later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
That is the arrival of the angel vampire.
Okay.
And the idea being that first night on the island, he didn't want to... I'm assuming he didn't want to reveal himself, so he just gorges on all the cats on that island.
Okay.
That's why they all wash up the next day, because he ate all of them.
Okay. I also said, did anything really grip me from the first episode? No. No central mystery so far. It's fine, but
you didn't want to find out.
Let me say what I want to say.
Okay. You didn't want to find out who killed the cats?
I said it's fine, but I'm not hooked. No, I didn't really, because that's the one thing I was supposed to care about. Oh, what killed these hundreds of cats? What?
You want to know what happened?
That wasn't enough for me.
Yeah, also, didn't the mysterious, like, nobody knows what happened to the old priest, and, like, there's a mysterious man in a trench coat?
Yeah, but they didn't, I think that they didn't, like, they didn't give enough for me to care enough about
and you
that.
didn't care
I don't know
about...
how to
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was immediately hooked for Midnight Mass just because I liked the atmosphere of, like, the small, depressed island town that's all, like, close-knit, but there's, like, a darkness. I liked all the characters immediately.
Then you should have liked
No, but none of those characters were realistic or good. Like, I've never met a single person. I know people like Midnight Mass in real life. Everybody, all the characters of Midnight Mass felt like real people.
But these are fantasy series.
Yes, but what made Midnight Mass good to me is that a lot of the characters felt real. I feel like I've known people like Riley. I feel like I've known priests like the priest in that. I feel like I've known just everybody. Those teenagers. I liked the sheriff and the bitchy church lady.
Yeah.
These are all like people that I feel like I've known in my real life. Castle Rock, I've never.
Okay.
Okay, should we not talk about?
Of course you've
I've never known a guy who disappeared as a kid.
Okay,
Can't remember his childhood, then went on to become a death row lawyer in Texas.
Okay. But I am not somebody, like, personally who, like, needs to know what every character, like, I don't need to relate to every character in a show. Like, you watched Game of Thrones. Could you relate to anybody in fucking Game of Thrones? Who?
Sure.
A dragon queen?
Peter Dinklage.
Shut the fuck up. These are fantasy science fiction series. You can't equate it just be like, oh, I've known all of these people.
No. But you understand the idea of characters in Game of Thrones. You understand what it means to feel like not appreciated like Peter Dinklage's character by your family.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's circle back to Midnight Mass. I'm going to continue about reasons why I didn't
you don't like
it.
Midnight Mass. Right.
Riley was insufferable to watch. His character was lame. The acting was terrible, and I don't say that lightly because I don't really care about people's acting.
Interesting.
Every conversation he had with that pregnant woman was like pulling teeth to watch for me because the writing was bad.
Okay.
And I was like, what are these people talking about? Why is this conversation going on for 15 minutes? Like, who cares?
How are you, Riley?
Hanging in.
No, I mean, how are you?
I don't know. I just exist. No.
Like, it drove me nuts, honestly.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And but I will say
is it the monologues?
Yeah, it was
the beautiful philosophical monologues.
Yeah, no, but what I will say that was amazing. One thing that I love, the savior of the series, if you will, Hamish Linklater, or however you say his name, the priest. Unbelievable acting. That man is awesome.
Yeah,
he's great. He saved. If he wasn't the priest, if somebody else was cast as the priest. I wouldn't even. It wouldn't have any really redeeming qualities to me. Ever.
He acts rings around everybody.
Yes.
That's undeniable. I will admit that. But
Yeah, he was.
I don't necessarily
fantastic.
think for me. I thought Riley was. I know what you're saying. I don't think he's definitely not the best actor in the show. But I didn't think I wasn't like, oh, this is painful. And I really liked. I thought sometimes he nailed it. I thought sometimes he did a really good job.
Yeah, like every couple of episodes.
No, like every certain scenes. I actually like the this is a big problem that people on the internet have. The biggest critique of Midnight Mass is that they hate the wordy monologues. They hate the parts where Riley and the pregnant girl.
I just think that those scenes
I
are too convoluted.
Those scenes are definitely where it starts to lose me a little bit in believability. But I like the way they're written. I think they're like good, like philosophical essays that seem a little bit like they're not very realistic, but I like them anyway because they have some interesting thoughts on life and death and, philosophy and whatnot that I find appealing.
But do I want a philosophical essay in every episode of a sci-fi fantasy horror show that
You
I'm watching?
should.
No, I don't. And more to that point, you know what else I didn't want in every episode? Oh my God. Okay. I hate, and I'm sorry for people in general who enjoy this, I hate going to church. It's really, I think a lot of people, when you're like a kid and you're like forced to go to church and it's just like, oh, this is terrible. You have to pay attention to it because if you don't, then you're being disrespectful and there's no way out of it. You're just stuck there, just having to pay attention.
Okay.
Midnight Mass made me have to sit in church every episode. And yes, sometimes it was entertaining. Like when the priest, what was his name?
Father Pruitt.
Some of the times when he was like Hamish Linklater was like really, it was like an exciting episode.
Yes.
Then it was like fun to watch. But a lot of times it was just like, oh my God, I'm sitting through church.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean I know what you mean. I understand all the words coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
But
You didn't feel that way.
No, I didn't feel that way. I thought, my impression of it, and particularly the Father Pruitt character, is that it was I feel the same way sometimes about going to church as a kid. Although I really liked going to church as a kid, I didn't have any problems with it. But
this is where we differ.
This is where we did. Oh no, actually, I shouldn't say that. I liked it sometimes. I was an altar boy, and I liked doing that stuff, being involved.
What about
in it.
sitting in the pews and having
Sitting
to
in the
sit
pews?
there?
No, yeah, it gets boring, and it is painful. No, actually, this is what I want to say: it was painful if the priest sucked when going to church.
Yeah.
If the priest was boring and just droning on, it was bad. What I liked about what Midnight Mass does is I was like, oh, so this priest character, everybody loves him because he's like the type of priest you want. He's warm and generally
sprightly.
He's not judgmental. It's just it's like every priest that you would wish that you would have oh, maybe I'd enjoy going to Mass if it was like this all the time and if the priest was this cool and this open. Right. That's why when you start to realize that there's something off about him, you're just sort of like, oh no, he's gonna be evil, isn't he?
But was he? Not really.
No, it's very gray. The whole time he was trying to do what he thought he was doing was right.
Or good. Yeah.
Right. That's
He's
interesting to me. Right.
So,
he just he didn't.
Is this
an angel?
Yeah,
he thought that an obvious demon vampire was an angel.
The point, though, that I think from what you just said is yeah, of course, if you're going to church, you would want such a lively spokesperson, whatever.
Right.
But I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go, and I don't want to sit through it on the TV either.
Well, but then you don't relate to the Riley character.
I relate to Riley because I'm an alcoholic. But other than that, I don't.
But don't you relate to the idea that Riley doesn't want to go to church too?
Yeah.
And he's forced to go.
Uh-huh.
And you know, he kind of begrudgingly, like, there's an interesting push and pull where the priest is, like, after Riley, trying to convince Riley, like, basically, like, Catholicism's pretty cool.
Hey,
you know,
come to youth
hey,
group,
come on.
buddy.
And he's really doing a good job. Like, that's the thing. He's not judgmental of Riley. He's not judgmental of, we got to figure out her name because I'm going to keep on calling her.
You have to Google it.
C-grade Angelina Jolie.
Don't call her that. That's offensive. She's not a C-grade anything. She is beautiful.
She's a beautiful
Ruth?
Angelina
No, that's
Jolie.
from Castle Rock. What the fuck was her name?
Molly. I don't know.
Nope, that's also from Castle
Castle
Rock.
Rock, I know.
Okay, well, okay.
The
so
pregnant
I have more
girl.
things. The pregnant girl. She's great. We love her. Awesome. Hold on. So I also said, okay, this is also what I said after the first episode. I am most interested in Sheriff Zaddy.
Yeah, he was a great character too.
He was also very nice to look at. So I wrote main characters kind of bad at acting, ? And then I think this was episode 2. I said dead dog, go fuck yourself. Because I was pissed off about that, obviously.
There's dead dogs in Castle Rock.
Do you see it die?
What?
Like, you see it get, like, murdered and, like, sputter out and its whole life, like, it dies.
You see a rotting corpse of a dog.
Okay,
and
that
it
sucked
runs
too,
over.
but Midnight Mass already had millions of dead cats before this dead dog. Okay? So they're on
Also,
my shit list.
Also, having dead animals to make you elicit an emotional reaction, that doesn't make the show bad.
But what was the point of killing that dog? You were just showing that
How
Bible thumping lady was evil?
Yes.
Bitch? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
that she
so that was the
she was
point.
willing to kill to get her
Because the
way.
dog didn't like her. She
Right.
poisoned him with rat poison or something.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We already knew she was a piece of shit. Whatever.
You have to.
Okay, this is important. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you want to talk on that?
No, I was gonna say I liked that. Not that I liked that the dog died, but it's a good character development. It makes you immediately loathe that character.
Okay.
She reveals her as this is the true villain of the show. Even though Father Pruitt is stupidly inviting an angel demon to corrupt the entire town, she's the real
worst.
She's the worst because she poisoned the dog
She
with
is
rat
the worst.
poison, and later on is way worse at the whole thing.
Okay,
Go ahead.
this is also important. I wrote, this is very early on, is every old person in this show just a young actor in old age makeup? And I said, honestly, it feels like a joke. Is the doctor's mom, Kate McKinnon, in old age makeup?
My room is my room.
Yeah, Mom, but not for.
It's different.
You cannot do stairs. You just
room is
can't.
Do you know my daughter Sarah?
I don't
She's
even know
a
how I'm gonna
doctor.
get you
She
down.
can tell you I have a bad hip.
Listen, to watch a kiss, one still knows that there is hope in this world, still joy. You're a pretty girl with a dynamite mouth, so Angie, I want you to live, laugh, kiss.
I honestly don't know. Is there a reason for this? I'll have to find out. Why did they do it like that? They could have easily cast older people and then just found people who looked similar to them.
I mean, I
Wow,
know
it looked so bad.
I know what you're
though.
saying. No, I know what you're saying, and that is a complaint.
She looked younger than her daughter from the get.
Go with
They
old
were-
lady.
They
but
were
come
like,
on.
"Oh, here's a
I
gray,
would have.
wig."
I would have done that differently.
And like, you could have done that. You could have had them be different people who just looked very similar. You could have gotten an older woman
Maybe,
actress
but that's I didn't.
and then made up a younger one.
I didn't hate.
Oh, that drove me nuts.
I did. Then whatever. Okay.
Especially with him too.
But you understand why they did it. Like
Yeah.
they needed to show her slowly getting better and younger to show what the.
Of course. Yes. But was it? I guessed that he was the father of the doctor. Pretty.
You guessed that?
Oh yeah, and I guessed that he was Father Pruitt or whatever, the old guy. Pretty, not quickly, but like I was when he as young Hamish. I'm just gonna call him because that's his real name. When he goes and he's like, I have to bring her mass in her bed, and she calls him by the old priest's name. I was like,
You realize
I was
that
like, that's the kid's dad, no doubt.
Really?
Yeah.
That I didn't get at all. I thought it was going to be like a weird deal with the devil sort of thing. Which it kind of is, but I thought it was going to be like he made a deal with the devil, he became younger. I didn't realize they were going to go vampires.
Right, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. All right, so go on.
So, okay. I also wrote, I mean, they're not fooling me. Are they fooling anyone with this old age?
All right, let's move on beyond
Okay, I
old
didn't
age
realize
makeup.
that it said that. Side note, I love the priest.
The priest is
Great
great.
actor, super great at being a creepy shithead. Hamish must have broken his spine from carrying this goddamn show on his back.
Oh, God. See, my shit isn't even that brutal with
That's
Castle
not
Rock.
brutal. This episode 3, I'm kind of
I think
bored and wondering how many episodes are in this season. Okay, calling right now in episode 3 that the Monsignor is the lesbian Dr. Lady's dad, obviously. I guess they're going to make her mom younger.
Wow, that's good. I don't think I put all that together.
And then I just wrote vampire daddy.
Did you know at this point you knew there were vampires?
So that was when it must have been when he went into the cave.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, ooh.
Now come on, that episode and that reveal
That's when it
is
turned.
great.
And I also wrote that the when it really turned and like the best part
Mm-hmm.
was when Riley dies.
Yes.
And and like that, I literally wrote, "Oh my God, poor Erin, what the fuck?"
Oh, her
That's
name's
name.
Erin. But okay. Now, can we just? You
Yeah.
mentioned two things. You mentioned my favorite things.
Okay.
How could you not respect the fuck out of number one, the episode where they reveal that this is a vampire TV show is really well done, and number two, the ballsiness of killing what is essentially the main character off when you still have 2 episodes left to go.
I think 3.
Yeah, and then suddenly it becomes like Aaron and the remaining people, the mother and the veterinarian. Was she a veterinarian? No, she was a doctor. She was a regular doctor. That's right.
She was the pregnancy doctor.
She was the pregnancy doctor.
That's all we know.
And her mother, they've kind of become like the main characters at that point, which I
Yeah.
thought was great because they were.
And Hamish.
And Hamish, right. But they were important characters, but then suddenly the show is like, they're the ones that have to figure this out. After they kill off Riley, and his whole arc of, he becomes a vampire, and then he
can't even live with, like Hamish was trying, what is the goddamn priest's name? Is it Pruitt?
I think it's Father Pruitt.
Whatever, yeah. And he's like, oh, look,
You call
you
him
can
priest.
kill without guilt. Like, and you would think that Riley would be accepting of it, and it showed that Riley doesn't want to live like this, especially with the guilt that he was already living with, which
Yes.
is cool. And I do think it was a great choice to kill off Riley because, like I said, I do believe his character was kind of dragging the whole thing down.
Well, also, turning him into a vampire is the best thing to do to that character. Because, yeah, he's an alcoholic. He's guilty because his alcoholism, his addiction, led to the death of an innocent person. Now this priest turns him into a vampire, which is essentially turning him into another kind of addict. Now he's
Right.
going to spend the rest of his existence being addicted to blood, and he has to hurt
Murder people. Yeah.
And he refuses to do it. He essentially commits suicide while explaining to Aaron.
And it was a tense scene because it was like, why is he gonna hurt her? Because
right.
he rode her out, and then he was like, no, this is so I can't hide
Right.
from this harsh light of day.
I just thought the whole Midnight Mass is like pure fucking class.
Okay. Whatever you say. For you.
For me, it's pure. Well, I don't see any way you could see it any way different. I mean, I can understand if you think the beginning half is boring. I told you specifically not to watch any trailers.
I didn't watch any trailers.
I know. And I'm wondering if maybe that was bad. Because I watched a trailer and
you
I was
had something
like,
to look
holy shit.
forward to.
Yeah, because in the trailer,
I did not.
you see like the entire town on fire, and you see just like weird shit. You know miracles are gonna happen, but you know ultimately it's gonna turn like you see bloody people and stuff. So it's like, I didn't want you to watch the trailer because I thought like the trailer gave a little too much away. Because the whole time I was watching the show, I was like, well, eventually the whole town has to light on fire because
Right,
they
yay.
show it in the trailer. Eventually that girl in the wheelchair has to walk. Like, I felt like I knew too much from watching the trailer.
Yeah.
That was in
You
there
were trying
too.
to protect me.
Well, I was trying to, like, I figured if I could watch it again, I would rather go into it blind. But I don't know. Maybe that was the bad advice, because maybe the whole time I was watching those first 3 episodes, I was like, oh, I love this. It's going to end with this whole town on fire. That's great. I can't wait to see how this is going to happen.
Oh, because you were like, fuck all these idiots this time.
No.
Yeah.
No. I
Well, like
liked...
the people you didn't like.
No, not just that. I just was like, oh my god, this is gonna get so crazy. Yeah, it's like, what if a shit ton of supernatural drama came to this sleepy town? I'm like, I gotta see it. I like all these characters. I'm invested. I don't want them to die, but I want to see who's gonna survive and what's gonna be left of them.
Okay, so finishing up on Midnight Mass, one thing, yeah, like I'm watching it and we keep laughing and saying vampire, blah, blah, blah. But they never acknowledge ever that like this is like a vampire. Like they think the whole time that it's an angel, right? And so the whole time...
Well, the priest does. But yeah.
But other people do too.
Right, okay, yeah,
and
right.
they're like,
yeah.
we're drinking blood and we have eternal life. And nobody's like, these are vampires? Or I'm sitting and watching and I'm like, how do these people not know that these are vampires? And you said the only way that this is probable is if vampires don't exist in this universe.
I look at it like this way, and I accept this. In zombie movies, how many times in zombie movies
Right.
do people actually call them zombies? Or really, any vampire movie. With the exception of Dracula. In Dracula, there's always Van Helsing comes out and is like, Dracula's a vampire. But most movies, it's just sort of like, what the hell are these things? You know what I mean? And then no one will ever say zombies. It's almost like they live in a world where horror movies don't exist.
Right, but at least they know that they're bad.
You're right.
Nobody's like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this zombie is really like what the doctor ordered.
Right. Well, okay, here's something that I thought was interesting. In Midnight Mass, the way I look at it is that they're in the Bible, angels are referred to as terrifying. So I can kind of suspend my disbelief in that respect, that this priest has never seen a horror movie, has never read Salem's Lot, and just, you know, I also think it's implied that he still has dementia, in a way. Or that his character in his dementia, because that's the whole concept, is that this priest was an elderly priest who had dementia. He went to Jerusalem, wound up in a sandstorm, found a cave. In the cave, there was a vampire that had been living there for like hundreds of years. And that vampire, he assumed was an angel who gave him life and the blood of God and was actually an angel. And he says the angel was terrifying, just like it said in the Bible. Because the Bible describes angels as terrifying. So
That's his justification. I mean, he says it several times. Like,
yeah.
When the climax happens and he's like, it's supposed to be terrifying.
Fine.
We're all going to be scared. Like,
But-
they
right.
reiterate that a lot, for sure.
Yeah, and I accept that. I was like, yeah, sure, okay, I get it, that makes sense. I know what you're saying, though, too. It is something the whole time you're saying, like, how could you not know?
Right.
He looks like
And I'm
Nosferatu.
like, is this not a vampire? Like, whatever.
Right.
So then, okay, one other, just little, not a tiff, not something I thought was wrong with the script. I just was like, come on. Did they really have to kill off Hassan and Ali? Like, I thought that was a fucking low blow, especially because, like...
They killed off the entire town.
Except for these 2 kids, which fine, the girl
in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair, and Riley's brother for absolutely no reason, who's barely in the goddamn show.
Well, I don't mind that. Yeah.
Can I tell you what my problem is with them killing these 2, though?
Sure.
Is that, like, Hassan, the sheriff, was clearly against, like, not against, but he was just like, I don't believe in the same religion as you guys. So
Right, so I'm not buying this whole
I'm not
angel
buying
shit.
it, and he's not involved. His son dabbles with it, and I understand what had to happen with his son for like whatever to move forward.
Dramatic reasons.
It just like it was kind of like I don't know. I feel like it was a slap in the face. Like this whole time he wasn't a part of this, and yet still his whole his life is ruined because of these fuckos, these Bible thumping fuckos who thought vampires were angels.
See, but I love that because I think that that's so true to what actually happens with prejudice.
Look at you.
That's
Yes.
well, no, I think
no,
that's.
I'm
I
not
think,
mad. I'm
yeah,
like,
I think
you're
that's.
right.
I think that's like this is what happened because of the prejudice of these small-minded fuckos. You know, these innocent people who are actually thinking logically. That's the thing, Hassan, because he's not in the church and whatnot, he's able to look at it more rationally. And well, you know what's I love the character of Hassan because his whole thing is he's looking at it rationally. Well, he's looking at it almost too rationally. I love that part where the one girl, I think the pregnancy doctor asks him to basically go and arrest the demon
Yes.
and the priest because they think something fucky's going on, and he's like, "Look, I'm the only Muslim on this island." He's like, everybody is suspicious of me. Nobody likes me. He's like, you want me to go in there and arrest the priest?
Yeah.
And then he tells his whole backstory about how he was a cop in New York right after September 11th and he experienced all this, like, I think it's great because it also explains his inaction.
Yes.
Like, why he's like, I'm just trying to fit in here and have a life for me
Yeah, I'm
and my
not
son.
trying to make any waves.
I liked, even though I don't like what happened to the character.
You like what they're trying to say.
I like what they're trying to say. I think what they were trying to say, you're supposed to be angry about what happens. And I think Hassan and his son going and, because they both become vampires by the end of it, right? And
The son does, but it was actually cool what they did here. One thing that was cool, no, I'm just kidding. But that they said, you know, the whole town is going crazy. They're all eating each other, but very few people don't eat anybody. And they say that this thing that's inside of us doesn't change who you are as a person. And Ali, Hassan's son, sees what everybody else is doing, dragging people out of their house and eating them, murdering them. And he's like, I don't want any part in this.
Right.
So, like, you can see that obviously, even though he is technically a vampire, he doesn't murder anybody.
Right.
And Hassan doesn't become a vampire. He gets attacked or shot or something. He gets injured in a different way and then doesn't survive because of his injuries.
We should explain a little bit what actually happens at the end of it. So basically, eventually the story kind of culminates. The priest has been slipping this vampire blood into the communion wines.
Yeah.
And slowly turning the whole town, prepping them to become vampires. So the whole town is getting younger. This little girl who's in a wheelchair, she can walk now, and they all think it's miraculous. But they're all basically slowly turning into vampires.
It's just witchery.
Yeah, it's all witchery, and they're all turning into vampires. They just don't know it yet. They have to die first before they turn into vampires. The priest, in an awesome scene, he eventually, his physical body dies, and then he turns full vampire. So for the last half of the movie, when they reveal that it's vampirism at work, he is full on a vampire. He can only do mass at night.
Yeah, no, I was wondering about that because in the beginning of the show, he was out during the daytime.
Because he hasn't died yet.
I thought he died in the cave.
No. That confused me
when
too.
did he die then?
He dies that one time when he comes into the room and he's all like, oh! And he's
What
like
happened?
foaming.
Why did he die?
I think the idea is this is another problem I have with Midnight Mass. I was confused by this too.
I meant to write
but
this
upon rewatching it, I think the idea is that eventually if you keep on drinking that vampire blood, you will die. Just like it will organically. The vampire blood will just take over, and that was just his time because he'd been drinking it for like weeks at that point. And eventually he just like collapsed and died because they kind of let up with it. He kept on like coughing up blood. That was the vampirism taking over.
I don't remember. I don't remember any of
In
this.
the
I
in the
remember...
first couple episodes, every time he performed a miracle. See, I was confused. I thought that it was like every time he performed a miracle, he was like taking on evil, like it was like a Green Mile, John Coffey sort of thing. Because every time he did like a miracle, he like would excuse me, and they'd run into the bathroom and like pass out like they're coughing.
Energy out of
That's
him.
what I thought, but really, I think the idea is supposed to be is that he was slowly dying because he had been drinking that vampire blood for so long. I think that's a little bit of a plot hole. Actually, the biggest plot hole with Midnight Mass is so the big, ugly, creepy vampire that he found in the cave.
The angel.
They established at the end that once it starts drinking blood, it like can't even think. It just takes over and just drinks and drinks and drinks.
Yes.
But it's really fucking calculating when it comes to being in Jerusalem when it hasn't drank blood in centuries. It somehow has the wherewithal to be like, let me just drain this guy a little bit. Let me keep him alive and hope that he's going to bring me. These are things that have to happen to have the story take place.
Yes.
But it is annoying.
And also that this like barbaric vampire angel walks into church, glides into church with all of these supple veins, and is just like, yes, I am angel.
Yes, me, I'm angel. But here's the interesting thing.
Body of Christ.
Mike Flanagan, the director and writer of this show, wrote this as a examination of his personal relationship with both sobriety and the Catholic Church, because he was a Catholic when he was a kid and now is an atheist. So I kind of saw it, and obviously it's interesting. He obviously has, and this is the thing I really liked about it, is that he obviously is trying to say something about Catholicism, but I think he's being fair about it. He's not being like, oh, they're all complete fucking assholes.
But they do get led astray.
They get led astray, and also I think the vampire is supposed to be, I think he's saying something about the institution of the Catholic Church, of like, that it gets, and I'm talking specifically about the sex crimes covered up by the Catholic Church and whatnot.
Okay.
That they got like, that they eventually, like you said, they get like, sort of like, I can get away with anything. You know what I mean? They get ultra pious. They think they can get away with everything. They think they're the shit. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like what happens to the... I think that the evil vampire angel is like a personification of that. Like
all of the...
Like a creeping evil.
All of the horrific shit that the Catholic Church tries
has
done in the past.
It has done in the past.
Comes back and bites him in the neck.
Guy bites him, bites him in the neck at the end. And also just specifically the idea that it's like, it becomes like... The vampire, the winged vampire, becomes like greedier as the show goes on. And like more like kind of full.
And that's his downfall.
And that's his downfall ultimately.
So is that a wrap on what we have to say? I feel like we should wrap it up.
We should start to wrap it up.
About more Midnight.
Did you notice that the what's her name? Pregnant lady. Erin. Did you notice that Erin? This is something that I thought went nowhere, but then I was like, oh, it actually makes a lot of sense. That she had issues with her mother, and her mother would make her clip birds' wings.
Yes. Yeah, no, obviously. Oh, please. Did I get that? Yeah, and then she ends up cutting the wings of the vampire guy.
I thought that was interesting. I didn't... Oh, that's great writing. That's great writing. I didn't get it the first time. I mean, I just thought it was cool, the whole thing. But then I was like, oh yeah, she talks about whatever. Fuck you.
That's all for this week's episode of Double Feature Creature Show. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you liked our show and you want to see more from us. Okay, thanks. Bye.